Hi guys, hopping on. So the other day I hopped on, I talked about the idea of support as an athlete and the fact that when you're an athlete, you have this whole support staff behind you. You have your sport coach, you have your weight coach, you have your AT, you have your nutritionist, you have your sports psychologist. You have all of these people that have your back and holding you up. And when you get past athletics, you lose that whole support team of people. And worse, you don't think that you need it anymore because you're supposed to be able to handle things on your own. You're supposed to be able to handle life on your own. And sometimes that's just not true. We all need people that are on our side, that have our back, a support team, support people that know the right answer the first time. So today I want to talk about the difference between a human being and a human doing when it comes to the identity of an athlete. And it really starts with the recruiting process. When you are recruiting, your worth is determined by a coach at any given university and the amount of scholarship that they're willing to offer you. That is your worth. It feels so good when you get that call and they say, hey, I want to offer you 30%, 50%, 75%, a full ride, whatever that is. Or they say, hey, I want you to come on as a walk-on. It is all exciting. It is all exciting because that is your worth, that is excitement. You get to go to college to do that sport, to get your education. Sometimes it's to get it paid for. Sometimes it's to continue competing and be able to compete outside of, high school and college athletics. Once you're in that world, once you're in college athletics, your worth is determined by how well you perform at dual meets, at tournaments, at invitationals, at conference championships, at NCAA qualifiers, at NCAAs, in outside meets, in USA meets. Whatever that performance is, that's your worth. And once you stop performing, your worth goes down because a coach says, hey, you are one mistake away from not having a spot anymore. You are one event away from not being in tomorrow's event. Hey, if you keep making that mistake, I'm going to put you on a plane home tonight. That's what we're told. And that's what I'm hearing in these interviews. The pain of those sentences, the worth that is attached when a coach says something like that, when a school says something like that, when they believe the coach over something an athlete says, that, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, this person is not supporting me. I'm looking for help. Our worth is determined by our performance and our performance alone. Nothing else matters. And sorry, those that have not been an athlete, if you think academics are important to athletics, they're not. They're only important enough that you're getting a GPA that will help the team be nationally recognized. That is the only purpose of academics when you're an athlete. Not that you're studying a major that you enjoy or leading up to a job that you're going to enjoy later in life. Your worth is determined by your performance. So when we leave and we transition out of college athletics, the question of our worth and our identity are the biggest ones on our brain. Because for the last 4 or 5 years, our worth has been determined by the amount of money that somebody is willing to give us. And not the fact that we earned it. It is given to you. And guess what? You're reminded almost every day that it can be taken away. And then it's also on your performance. Not your hard work, not your work ethic, not your character, not how good a teammate you are, not how smart you are in classes, by the sole performance of each event. So transitioning out of athletics, the biggest questions are, who am I and what's my purpose? Finding that purpose, finding that structure. So that's what I want to talk about today. Your worth is not determined by anyone else. Transitioning out of athletics, you get to define your worth. And that's a very, very exciting thing, and it's a very scary thing because you are the sole person who gets to decide that. And even better, you get to decide the scale of what's important of determining your worth. Coaches will determine on how well you perform and how much scholarship you get because of that. Out in the real world, when you're a human being and not just an athlete, you get to determine it by your passions, by the things that excite you, by the people you bring into your life, your family, your friends, your purpose, the things that you want to give your time to. I choose to give my time back to athletes that were struggling just like I did. The ones that still have their worth connected to the things that coaches said to them and said about them and believed to be true. You have the power to say, no, I'm worth so much more than that. I'm worth so much more than the things that you believe about me. And again, I will reiterate, this is not every coach. This is not every athlete experience. And thank goodness it's not. Thank goodness there are compassionate coaches in the world. There are compassionate administrators. There are compassionate compliance officers that truly believe and know that you are going to be a human being after you are no longer an athlete. But they're also the ones that hold your worth so heavy, and you hold their opinion so high that when you transition out of athletics, you don't know what that scale is anymore. You don't know what the worth scale is. Is it determined on place? Is it determined on score? Is it determined on win versus losses? Is it determined on how much they like you that day? None of that. It is determined by you, your passions, your creativity, your enjoyment, and the people that you choose to surround yourself with, and the people that you choose to ask for help from. As hard as it is and as scary as it is to ask for help and to say, I'm struggling. That is what builds your worth. That is what makes you worthy. Transitioning out of athletics is a very, very hard thing. Becoming a human being and not just an athlete, having that identity change. But it does not mean you are not worthy. It does not mean that you are not loved. It does not mean that you are not human. It also doesn't mean that you don't have to identify as an athlete anymore. The definition of athlete just changes. You get to determine your worth. Let me know in the comments what you think about this transition out of athletics. If you have not done an interview with me yet or scheduled an interview, and you are a past or current high-performing athlete, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you about your time and your experience transitioning out and what helped you so that that experience can help someone else. And if you know that you need help, if you know that you had all of this support in athletics and you have none of it anymore, but you're here for it, schedule a consultation call with me. Let's sit and talk. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about movement. Let's talk about that mindset of what it took to be an athlete and what it takes to be a human being. And let's have that conversation. And let's get you moving in that right direction. I am here for you. My name is Casey Hoffer. I am a health and fitness coach for high-performing athletes and their transition to being human.